Alright, so I just watched episode 16, Hidden Enemies, one of the most memorable Season 1 episodes of the Clone Wars. Now, if you don't know, I'm doing a review of every single episode of the Clone Wars, starting with Season 1, going all the way to Season 7. This is episode 16, Hidden Enemies. Now, I do know this episode, fond place in my memory as a child. I remember it as just being like a good episode to watch because of the concept. Now, if you don't know, Hidden Enemies is basically where the whole plot line, they start on Christophsis. They end up having a battle with the droids, typical Christophsis episode, which is like the planet with the green sort of crystally ground, but like the industrial buildings sort of thing. Not really any plant life or anything, but they have a fight with the droids. Droids are making some weird tactical decisions, and then they find out that the droids are aware of their position. They end up pulling up on the clones, Commander Cody and Obi-Wan, so Anakin decides to jump over building to building to go help Obi-Wan. They escape, they regroup back at their main base, I guess you can call it, and when they regroup, they basically come to the conclusion that there may be a traitor. So Obi-Wan and Anakin decide to go off and, I guess, find the leader of the droids, I guess, or not the leader per se, but they end up going to try to figure out a little bit more of the situation, and I guess they figure by going to one of the main bases alone, they're able to really hammer down on what might be the problem. Meanwhile, Rex and Commander Cody, the duo, they decide to try to figure out if there really is a traitor, and they basically come to the conclusion because of certain radio frequencies being on and off during certain times of the day that look just a little suspicious, and that's how they kind of deduce someone from the home base is relaying information. So pretty much the whole episode is them trying to find the traitor. Once they find the traitor, they imprison him. But yeah, basically the traitor was also, I guess, paid off by Ventress. It seems to be a freedom case. Now, this episode is good. You know, it is still good. I'd say, I gotta think about it a little bit more, but I do think this episode's good. My main problem with the episode, I guess, is, well, graphically, it's getting slightly better. And what I mean by that is that, like, every episode I'm watching, it feels like little touches here and there on, like, animations, little touches here and there on, like, the faces, the expressions, some of the fight scenes are getting slightly and slowly just better and more pleasing to the eye, if that makes sense, you know? Like, more tasteful to watch, you know? It's not like you're just looking at, the earlier episodes where it's kind of just a building, no background, and like a structure that's poking out of the ground. You know, it's like you got more going on now. Now it's like, you know, you got battalions rolling up, and there's tanks in the background, there's heavy ships coming in, you know, there's a big war going on. Sort of, that's the kind of vibe you're getting with these later episodes. I kind of enjoy it. It's a nice level up, I guess. But my personal main thing is the quality isn't unique. And while this is a very unique concept, and I do love the idea of a clone going rogue, because if you think about it, a Senator Commando going rogue earlier in the episode, or earlier this season, was a really cool concept. But the thing that sucked about the Senate Commando is that the first time we get like a face to a Senate Commando, he just ends up going, or a Senate Guard, I don't remember if he was a Commando, but the first time we get a face to him, he ends up going rogue, so it's like one of those obvious things. This is an improvement from that episode, because it's now a case where everyone is a brother, in terms of the clones. All of them look fairly similar, but you really get to, like, hone in on how each clone is kind of different in their own way. And I know on the broad spectrum, out of the 6 million, I believe, clones at the very beginning of the war, of course you're gonna have some that are almost basically identical, but this episode does a nice showcase that even, like, the most common clone is probably gonna have something that's different from the other clones. And of course, maybe that might not be the armor, but it might be the way the clones like actually do something. It's very nice because you're able to do so many. Like, you could do like a spin-off fucking comic series of every single clone in this episode. You know, they all get names. All of them look fairly unique, even though some of them just got this little goatee, pretty much. Or like they get the sideburns with that middle missing. I have that same problem, unfortunately. But it was really cool. And in the context of like an all-age show, which is kind of what I consider Clone Wars to be. I know it's pandered towards kids, but I'd like to think it's more of an all-age show that you can come back to. Now, I really, really do enjoy the clone aspect and like, okay, you know, sussing out which one is the bad guy, basically. Which one's the turncoat, I think is the term they used. But it ended up being the leader of the squad battalion, and the leader of the squad battalion was actually trying to figure out which one of his men, or I guess he was trying to rat out one of his men to Cody and Rex. You know, at first he was trying to defuse the situation, you know, let me talk to them first, guys. But then Commander Cody and Rex kind of went ruthless with their interrogation, and it was very reminiscent of I don't know if you guys ever got trouble in school, but, you know, when I was younger, me and my boys, we kind of got into a lot of shit, alright, let me tell you. But, it was really reminiscent of that, you know. You had the one guy who's really nervous, and he's like, oh, listen, sir, like, I'm just really nervous, you know, a lot of pressure, and they're just like, well, as long as you say the truth, you got nothing to be nervous about as far as I'm concerned, you know. Like, moments like that where it's like, no, the dude's just nervous, you know, and he ends up just being nervous because it's probably his first time getting interrogated by a senior officer, you know, especially when you're getting grilled by Commander Cody or Captain Rex, you know. I'd shit my pants too, you know, in a military situation as well. In the context of military situation, I can see why he's shitting his pants. But yeah, he's just a dude who cleans his gun a lot, frequently, and he's got brothers or friends or whatever you want to say, you know, brothers that, you know, vouch for him because that's his thing. He's kind of like a neat freak, you know. He's just he likes to keep everything clean. Nice little personality trait. Then you move on to two guys who ended up going to the mess hall just because they get really hungry, and you know, after a war or after a battle, kind of makes sense. You kind of want to savor the meals you get, sort of situation, and can kind of see why you might be hungry. Makes sense, you know, just two guys being able to vouch for each other. And then you had the one dude in the corner who was didn't really want to talk to the commanders, you know, and he was very not vocal about his alibi and everything. And then he reveals that he's been stealing contraband, being droid fingers, and he's been attaching it to a string. A little psychotic, but, you know, back in the day, it was, you know, and you know, when I went to school, it was very much just like, okay, 5 of us get called up to the principal's office, and now you all sit down, and it's like, well, I don't care who starts it, you know, but, you know, don't do it sort of situation. It's like one of these, but it's, they care who starts it, you know what I mean? So it's nice for that. You know, I have fond memories of getting in trouble like that. So that's kind of what this felt like, you know? Or even if I was called, you know, to the office, because there's been quite a lot of times my normals, you know, the regulars on the recess playground, you know, we would you know, start some shit, and we'd end up getting called to the office even when we were innocent, you know. You know, a few times my friends got called up to the office for throwing snowballs at some of the other kids. I just get randomly lumped in there, and I show up to the office, and they're like, you know, we saw you throwing snowballs. I wasn't even outside during recess, principal, alright? You know, just saying, you know, maybe I'm traumatized from that, but, you know, just little stuff like that, you know. It brought me back memories of moments like that. So I think for a kid, great episode, but I do think for an adult, it's kind of just like, it's fun to watch. Or, yeah, like, it's entertaining, still good, still solid episode, gives you background on clones. That's why I'm giving it, like, a pretty decent ranking. But overall, it still does nothing, like, wow, I'll never see this in another episode again, you know? A lot of this episode, yeah, the hidden enemy, but we've kind of already seen, and I believe we're going to see, more clones that are just not with the program, and they just kind of want more selfish things, you know? And I don't think that's, like, not normal. It's a great concept, but it's not, like, hidden enemy isn't, like, the most unique idea possible 10 out of 10 episode. I'd give it a solid 7. It improves, maybe to an 8. I can't remember what I made the Senate Commando episode. I think I gave it a 7. So that's why I'm saying maybe an 8. This is definitely improvement, maybe 7.5 out of 10. I think I'm comfortable with that. Definitely improvement from that episode, personally. I love the clones. I would rather watch a whole show about the clones over watching Jedi, except for the Bad Batch, because they fucked up the show. I gotta watch the last season of that, and also go through the whole thing, and then make reviews, and, yeah, a lot of work. But, what I will say, this episode was really good. Did very much enjoy it. But, you know, especially the Ventress moments. You know, I didn't even mention Ventress. Ventress shows up near the end, having a lightsaber duel with Anakin and them. And then when she escapes, you know, let's just say, from certain angles, now that you're older, it's like, you know, whoo, just saying. God damn, you know, she's thick. Anyways, yeah, that's pretty much this episode. So yeah, solid 7 out of 10. Nothing super unique, you know? Reason why I gave something like Rookies and something like the Grievous's Lair the coveted 10 out of 10 is mainly because they feel so unique, because you'll probably never get this again. And I know with something like Rookies, it's for me, Rookies is a little different, just because that's one of the first episodes I watched as a kid, and that was just, like, ingrained into my memory, and I have so many fond memories of all the characters, and it's such a great, like, intro to what, like, clones are, and what you should be watching for clones, in terms of narrative and plotline. You know, you had, like, sacrifice, you had, like, new people, you had sometimes they're lazy, but, you know, as soon as shit happens, they get their stuff together, and, you know, they work through the problem, you know, just cool things like that. That's kind of why Rookies is, so, like, that's a nostalgia 10 out of 10, you know? Where Grievous's Lair, we'll probably never get another episode looking into Grievous's past, and Grievous's Lair not only showcasing his lair, where you see what his race used to look like, you also had something like, the medical droid, which was unique, but you also had the concept of Dooku basically being like, yeah, you're pretty much fucking useless to me, because you've been shit, and you lost one of our best ships recently, so, yeah, you're gonna have to kill these 2 Jedi, otherwise, yeah, we don't need you anymore, basically. Really cool, unique idea that I don't even think, I know it's a common Sith thing to test your apprentice sort of thing, but Grievous isn't an apprentice, he's just basically another general, pretty much, you know? So, that's kind of why I gave General's Lair, or Grievous's Lair, a 10 out of 10. This episode, definitely solid 7 out of 10. If you haven't watched this episode in a while, still one of the good ones. But yeah, that's pretty much it for episode 16. That's been my review. Solid 7.5 out of 10. Look forward to future ones. But yeah, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching this video. I didn't think it was going to be that long. I apologize. But yeah, thank you for watching to the end of this video. And as always, I hope you have a good day.